I do want to point out something that Chris Bowen tweeted today about Ted O'Brien, who's become the Deputy Liberal leader. And Chris Bowen said that O'Brien is the author of the Coalition's spectacular failure of a $600 billion nuclear policy. They don't seem to be listening to Australians. Susie, this bloke has just been sworn in again as minister and he's still pumping out absolute lies about the nuclear option. It doesn't give us much hope for the future, does it?
Well, you know, who knows what the Liberals are going to do? I mean, there was no overwhelming endorsement of that policy from Susan Lee today. But what's interesting is that people do seem to be in agreement that the Liberal Party did not properly enunciate their plan for nuclear during the election campaign. In fact, they seem to be running a mile from it. So if they are going to stick with it, then, and no doubt they need to, then they need to properly enunciate what it's going to look like, how it's going to help, how it's going to impact on energy prices, what it's going to mean, like really flesh this out. It's not something they can just drop in and expect people to be on board for something that big. That's like a nation-building, generational idea.
But it's not just about politics, it's about reality and policy. And they and the media need to do more about pointing out, Stephen, that what we're doing at the moment is a disaster. There is no way known that our current electricity grid will see lower prices or get us to net zero or give us the power we need.
And I think 3 years from now, that'll become even more evident than it is today. So, I mean, maybe that's the best thing that has happened to the coalition here is that Chris Bowen has been reappointed as the Energy Minister. They're going to keep pushing this $600 billion line. But I think the best thing the coalition could do is actually pivot here and change their nuclear policy to simply lifting the moratorium and saying, OK, well, if you don't want the people to own nuclear production, well, then let's open it up to industry. And then, you know, further down the track, if that works, we'll then go back and revisit the idea of publicly owned nuclear generation, which I know a lot of people are talking about this being illiberal and anti-conservative. It's not. I mean, that's the reality of it, that we need governments can own stuff.
Exactly, but better if it's privately funded and invested in. Thanks so much for joining us, Stephen and Susie. I appreciate it. We'll catch you next week.